everybody, and welcome to episode 295 of Spy Curious. Thank you so much for joining me. My name is Casey Pine, and I am an investigator and teacher at the Australian Security Academy. And as you can see, today I am by myself, and it's actually going to be quite a short episode today as we have had a little bit of a time mix-up, which is completely my fault in regards to daylight savings. But if you have joined me, please say hello in the chat so I know that I'm not alone here. And given that I'm incredibly unorganized and don't have the usual information that Mike would be putting up for me because he's away, I am going to wing it, which is just going to be fun. Let's have some fun. It's Friday. Hi, Bea. Thank you so much for joining. Hi, Michelle. Thank you so much for coming across from Investigations Uni. Yes, you did, but that's okay. You'll be able to catch the replays. So yeah, that's all right. So today, given that I have no investigations news and no jobs that I can see that have been put in, I'm just looking. I thought I would talk about OSINT, which is it's my wheelhouse. And I was actually presenting down in Melbourne this week for the Australian Certified Fraud Examination Association, the Association for Certified Fraud Examiners. And I presented something that I have never presented before. And hey, what better time than to share it here as well with everybody, given that you've made the time to come along and say hi and watch. Let's make it valuable and let's make it fun. If you have any OSINT questions for me, today is the day. Stick them in the chat. Or if you have a new tool that you found, or if you're excited about anything desktop investigations, please put it in the chat. I would love to hear. What else have we got here? Yeah, no news is good news. That is very true. So let's pretend it's all great news about investigators today in the news. So a lot of you have seen my presentation, whether I've done it at Investigations Uni or I've done it live for you across the different cities that I've been teaching at for the Australian Security Academy. And you see that I always bring this up. So it's just your general, what does open source intelligence stand for? And then I list a bunch of stuff where we find open source intelligence. So remember, open source intelligence is stuff that isn't protected by a paywall. It's not protected by a password. It's just there and you can see it. So I'm going to jump in the comments. Love OSINT, so anything you share is valuable. Awesome. You're in the right spot if you love OSINT. What do I think about Multigo? I love Multigo. It is a very powerful tool, and it's something that I have definitely dropped the ball on in the last 6 months. Because I feel like it's something that you really have to stay up to date with to use. And I always just use the community version, so the free version. And when it changes, I really need to go and watch a YouTube, and I haven't really been making time, but it's actually on my list to do over the weekend because I have found documents using Multigo that I have not found after days and days of like doing a desktop investigation and so on. And I think it was one of the first times I used Multigo, and I was just like, oh, I'll just give this tool a try. And it brought up all these documents that it really helped crack open a case for me. And it was around hidden assets. So it was fantastic. Hi, Amber. Good to see you. I have never used the paid edition. You just answered it. It's something that I would definitely look at investing in, especially there's some plugin that I've heard a lot about. But I would actually really love to trial some paid parts. So I might do that and do a review on it, because it is, yeah, it's a really powerful tool. And with all the plugins that you can use, it's great. And that actually reminds me, for those of you who tuned in, not last week, but the week before, when I spoke to Brad Lyons about traces. So a few of you signed up to the free month trial for that, which is fantastic. If you've used it, let me know in the chat if you've had a look around. But Brad's also added so many more tools in there, and it's such a great tool for OSINT, and it's so affordable for individual operators, which is what Brad was hoping for. Like, that's what he wanted to make for individual operators who are Australian, because obviously a lot of the tools out there are American based. So we've got Andrew watching. Hi, Andrew. Andrew was kind enough to do Investigations Uni for us just before, which was incredible. He did very well, given that I didn't show up. So I know Mike has given me a bit of information, but is there any real free platform to conduct searches on people for those who haven't? Free, not really. Your Google Docs are 100% your friend. Google Doc cheat sheet, learning how to Google Doc people, like or using your Google operators effectively, is 100% the best way when it comes to using free tools. I don't know if you've seen my presentation, Bea, around that. It would be in the list that you get for Investigations Uni, where I go into how powerful Google Docs are, and I essentially dox myself out there and do a case study on looking at stuff for me and how powerful Google Docs can be. So that's definitely one. I also love EPIOS, EPIOS, which has a free version. That is an incredible tool. It's one of my favorite tools. It's absolutely my go-to, especially because it brings up reviews that people make on Google. So say the plumber comes to your house and he does something and he says, oh, can you leave me a Google review? You do it on your account. This EPIOS will bring up any Google reviews associated with that email, which is amazing for locates. So if you're trying to verify that someone's moved to Perth, that you just want to see, okay, well, they're in Perth, they've left a review for a car dealership and left a review for a real estate agent. Like, these are really great green flags. These are intelligence that you can use. Like, it doesn't necessarily absolutely confirm that they've moved to Perth. They could have been doing it for a family member, but it's the intelligence gathering process. And these are the bits of intelligence we need to paint the picture to be able to get to the facts. So EPIOS is really good as well. I know a lot of skip tracing platforms cry. Yes, they do, because yeah, data's powerful, and in the wrong hands, we want to avoid that at all costs. We want to use our investigative skills, our OSINT skills for good. So yeah, that's why they can be hard to get in. One cool thing that helped my investigation this week is the paid ad library history in Facebook. Oh, yeah, that's cool for a claimant who is secretly running a business while receiving compensation. I love that, Michelle. Thank you so much. That is really cool. So for those of you who don't know, you can go to a Facebook page, and I'm not sure where it is now because I haven't actually looked at it in a long time, but you can see ad campaigns that people have run in the past. It's part of their transparency that they brought in a few years ago now. So you've been able to do this for a while, and see what the history is of the ad library. And as Michelle said, like, the ads are there, and it can really, really help you with an investigation. I've done a lot of no compete investigations a few years ago, which that was a really powerful resource as well. So thank you so much, Michelle, for sharing that. I have never used Pegasus, so I cannot comment on that, but I will add that to my list of things that I will look at for you guys, because I love trialing everything and letting you know what works and what doesn't, because anyone that teaches OSINT says, oh, don't rely on tools. You need to know how to do things manually, but tools are fantastic, and not all of us are overly technical, and OSINT is getting more and more technical. So we are going to rely on tools that little bit more, I feel. So I just, yeah, definitely, I'll check it out. We'll talk your pay. Don't tell Mike that. Just tell him I showed up on time. There we go. Great. Awesome. So this is very interactive. I love it. That is exactly what I need it for. Oh, there you go. So yeah, when you check out Google reviews, that's really good. So, and also, yeah, exactly what Michelle just said, you can have a look at, yeah, God. There are so many dodgy workmen out there. This is nothing new. As the world is getting a little bit harder, and as people are getting less resilient, yeah, we are just going to see more and more fraud out there for sure, because people are feeling the pinch. The keeping up with the Joneses standard is higher and harder than ever. So you will see more and more people, as we are seeing more and more people turning to, it's almost like instead of petty crime, it's petty frauds. So yeah, our jobs are not in danger as investigators, put it that way. Yes, Casper. Casper is fantastic. I've done a review on Casper on one of the previous Spy Curiouses. So if you have a look at the channel and type in Casper, you should be able to search within the Spy Curious channel. Then yeah, it should be there. It's under About This page. Awesome. Cool. Thank you, Michelle, for clearing that up. It is desperate measures. And I've seen people that I've done investigations on people who, to me, for all intents and purposes, look like they're the people that would never do it. These are not criminals. They're not from families who would engage in this type of behavior. Usually, if you're willing to hurt someone or violate another human being, you come from that background in a way. Like your parents have either violated your, like we're getting into the psychology now, violated your you or others around you, and that's just what you've learned. And I just feel like, yeah, we just seem to be in a bit of a pressure cooker at the moment. Definitely since COVID, the world is not the same. We all wondered if it would go back to being the same, and for like on the very, very surface level, it seems pretty much the same, but underneath it's just not. So yeah, I did a short stint at VCAT, so whenever I got quotes from coach. Awesome. That is really good. It's actually so funny when I went to, oh gosh, my dog's going to start barking now. Sorry about that. When I went down to Melbourne, I had a man approach me while I was waiting for my bag at the carousel and asked me if I needed a taxi. And I said yes, and I will go to the taxi rank. And he left me alone, and I was walking out, and he was there outside the double doors, and he said, oh, let me take your bag for you. I'll take you to the taxi rank. And I'm like, I'm fine. I've done enough traveling through Spain to know that this was not right. And he tried to take my bag from me. I said, oh, do you know what I do for work? And he said, no. I said, I'm an intelligence investigator. And he like ran away, essentially. He looked at his watch, which was a big gold watch, and then kind of just skittled off. And I was just, so yeah, pulling that out really, really helps. So be careful when you go to, be careful when you go to Melbourne Airport. It's actually been in the news a lot lately. When I was in a real taxi, I was Googling it, and they've had a lot of issues at Melbourne Airport. So essentially they'll take you to their car. They're not a real taxi provider, and they charge you double. So yes, definitely is. Yeah, Okay, excellent. Thank you so much. I'm loving this. This is brilliant. So yes, it's a thing at Melbourne Airport. Exactly. And just reading the news on these people, um, they only target women, and they target women late at night. So their guards are down, they're tired, or women alone with children. So they're like really helpful and they compliment you a lot. Just the real markers of a scam. And they don't take no for an answer. They pepper you with compliments and pepper you with trying to be helpful to try and negate that social, like, we're trying to negate you saying no around that, those kind of social norms where it's like, oh, he can't be a bad guy because he's helping me. So it's just so bad. It's so annoying. Oh man, I was tempted. I was tempted. I was going to reach for my umbrella. I'm not sure ninjas use umbrellas, but it's the best I have. Yeah. And see, the thing is that you don't know what kind of organized crime gang is behind these syndicates. It's not often that they're individual operators, is what I'm gathering. So if they are from organized crime gangs, like, they know what they're doing. They've all been trained. A lot of them, when they take the people to the car, the boot's already open, so they can't get a picture of the number plate. And when they drop them at their spot, charge them double, have had that fight where, no, I'm sorry, this is what it costs. They've paid, and they drive away with the boot open so that they cannot have their number plate photographed. So it's really not great. So everybody stay vigilant. And scammers are clever, like targeting women with kids late at night, peppering them with compliments, being really helpful. Yes, I want compliments. Yes, I want help. Like, take my bags. I've got 2 kids on me. Help me. Like, but it's, yeah, it's going to cost you. I haven't seen any violence reported from it. It's purely a scam. But yeah, it's really, really frustrating and dangerous. Oh, yeah. Sorry, getting through. This happened at Brisbane Airport on Wednesday night. Crazy. Like, these are, I did not realize it was so prevalent in Australia. I've experienced in Paris and Barcelona and Prague. That was really bad, and they're really pushy. So you really have to push back and be firm, like, no. And yeah, I don't feel like these guys were much better. It's just crazy. You'd like to think it doesn't happen here, but yeah, it does. Oh God, it's just crazy. Crazy. Good job, Amber. And oh God, what was I going to say about this? That's the thing, is that I feel like the airports should be taking some responsibility about it. They should have signs up warning people. Like, if you ride the tube in London or in anywhere in Spain, they have signs up warning you that, like, keep your personal belongings close. And those warnings are there for a reason. And yeah, given how prevalent it is getting in Australia now, as we were just discussing, and feeling that pinch, there's the one side where you've got fraudsters, but there's the other side where you need to, as a business, take responsibility and take measures to protect people that are using your business from scammers. Like, you need to take those, you need to do something, and it's really important. So I love Darknet Diaries. It's so good. Oops. Federal Court of Australia cases, scammer, payback, and channels. Yeah, I agree. I love them as well. And it really helps you develop the different ways of thinking as an investigator, because when you're watching these cases, you can see the way that they're thinking, and it's like, oh, I never would have thought of that before. Like I have this whole notebook full of things. I'm like, oh, that's a really good thing to look out for. It's like just little red flags, because when it comes to open source intelligence, you're not just looking at the facts, you're looking at the picture. So one of the things, I think this example came up to me a few years ago, and I've written it down in my book, and I don't remember where, it might have been Darknet Diaries. And it's like the difference between a fact and intelligence is like, a fact is, oh, she has blonde hair. Whereas intelligence, like, oh, like it was tied up in a ponytail and she was wearing shoes. It's like, okay, what shoes was she wearing? She was wearing sneakers. So maybe she was going for a run. Maybe she was going to a gym. Like all of these little tidbits are what we need to bring into a case in order to paint the picture. It's like, well, clearly she wasn't going to the club. She wasn't wearing stilettos, that kind of thing. There are assumptions that you can make and bits of information that you can bring in, which is really cool. And one of my favorite parts about this is that when you bring all of these pieces in, and then it starts to really paint that picture and you get it and you see what's happening here. So it's definitely one of my favorites. We should all pull together our favorite. Absolutely. I agree. That's a really good idea. That would be a really good resource. So just trying to think how we should do that. Maybe I'll talk about it on Spy Curious next week. We'll, yeah, maybe you guys could email me and I could create a list for us on our favorite things. So, because learning never stops, especially when it comes to OSINT, desktop investigations, skip tracing. Our landscape changes so frequently. And when it comes to investigations, even surveillance, like if you want to be really good at your job, and I don't know about you, but I'm that person. If I'm going to have a vocation, I'm going to take pride in it and I want to be really good at it. It's probably because I'm a little bit competitive and I really want to be good at stuff. The more you learn and the more information you have under your belt, the more you can apply it to your everyday skills. And that's also why we do Investigations Uni, we do Spy Curious, and we believe in lifelong learners at the Australian Security Academy, because Mike and I are lifelong learners. And I love psychology, I love investigations, I love all of that kind of stuff. But believe it or not, I don't actually listen to any true crime podcasts because it's kind of my job. I don't find it very relaxing at all. So, but yeah, great idea, Michelle. Watch anyone approaching you, but also be careful of what is behind you, surrounding you. You will do this as an investigator, ensuring you always have an escape route. Yeah, so being mindful of that. One of my favorite things that we used to do in Melbourne as part of the Australian Security Academy with our live training, we used to do surveillance practice. So we would take people out into the city and you had to follow, it was usually me or another teacher. And if it's me, like I just go for a coffee. And if I spot you, like essentially you're out type thing. And it was incredibly funny. But one of the other things, we would do that for a few hours and then we would do the opposite, where we would just teach people how to tie their shoelaces and check reflections in windows and things like that, just counter surveillance type things, which is really, really cool and just really good skills to have. Yeah, especially as investigators as well, because yeah, we have to be really aware of our surroundings. I don't do surveillance anymore generally. And if I do surveillance, I'm on a motorbike. So I have a helmet on. I stopped surveillance. Probably I was doing surveillance full time until when did I stop? Probably 2019 going into 2020. And now I only just go as needed if there's a tour-up that needs to be done. If they need a motorbike operative, then yeah, I've got my helmet, and otherwise I have a cap and tie my hair back. And it's actually like, I wear makeup online, and it's amazing what makeup does for me. So if I don't wear it, it's, yeah, I look different. So, and not many. It would actually be really funny if I was doing surveillance on someone and they came up to me and said, "Oh, I watch your show." So that would be a little bit awkward. So yeah, don't really do surveillance anymore unless I'm really needed, and I do it just to keep my my finger in there, finger on the pulse, and keep my training, my skills up as well. So yeah, and it's usually a 2-up. So yes, awesome. I'm loving this. I love it. Interactive shows. This is brilliant. Wear a burqa. I don't think that would go down too well if that was people realized it was me. Yeah. So yeah, I stick with the hat and the exercise gear, and yeah, it's good fun. It's especially I basically just do yeah, 2-ups when a motorbike's needed. So if someone's a bit of a lead foot or they're leaving an airport, I'll be the one to I won't be the one in the terminal, I'll be the one waiting outside. So yeah, it's good fun. Oh, look, I am not the pinnacle here. I don't how can I put this? Look, I'm not someone that believes in work-life balance. I feel like something always suffers, but I am that person that if I'm hot on the trail of someone, I will go until like 2, 3 a.m. I would love to keep 9 to 5 hours, but I'm also that person that wants to take my dogs to the beach at lunchtime. So I'm really all over the shop. I'm pretty good with my energy. So yeah, my hours, I keep odd hours. I will work until it's done. If I've really got my teeth into something. But if it's pretty clear that there's someone that's older and really just has like, they don't have kids, they're not on any social media, it's just never been their thing, which there are still plenty of people like that. After I've done all of my Google Docs and usually like Multigo, EPOS, all of that kind of stuff, like I just do the set time and then like it's done. There's no going over that. So yeah, I keep odd hours. Sometimes I wish I just worked 9 till 5, but I just don't. I don't feel like it works as well for me. Like I have, yeah, when I love a case, I just want to be in it for as long as I can be. And yeah, my balance is being able to take my dogs to the beach at lunchtime. So yeah, and going to the movies with my son or going fishing. So yeah, I work odd hours. I just work really well to deadlines. So yeah, I'm all over the shop. Oof, that's really hard. I don't believe in work-life balance, as I said. Like any woman that says you can have it all, I think they're lying. I go to enough female-run entrepreneur summits where people have been really honest these days and just saying, look, you can't have it all. Something suffers. Like it's either going to be your time with your kids, your health, keeping your house clean, your marriage, your work, like something is going to suffer. And it's just, you have to, like, hopefully you've got a really good partner who's really supportive and helps pick up where you drop balls. But yeah, you just do your best and just know what works for you. Don't burn yourself out. like you really have to reach a point where you go, okay, this is too much. I just need to pull back a bit, pull back. And that's what I do regularly. I'm like, okay, I'm taking on too many cases now. I'm feeling overloaded. I'm feeling, especially with some of the cases that we do, they can be really dark and it can be really sad. Like day after day, reading psychological evaluations of people who have seen some horrible or been through some really horrible things. So taking care of your mental health is really, really important. I burnt myself out. It would have been the beginning of 2020, and I lost my vision. So because I just burnt myself out. So it's really important to have, like, I ended up going to a really good psychologist to help me deal with what I was seeing, what I was reading, and now I do all of the really cliche things to help me. Like I meditate, I go for walks and make sure I have things to be happy about. And I'm not the type of person that can compartmentalize, but I can go, okay, this is work. I have a certain thing. Like I've got my little candle here that I burn, and just little rituals that you get into. Because I work from home, you need like the difference between work and your life. So I hope that helps. You just really have to find what works for you, and just see yourself as a work in progress until you find it. But just don't sacrifice your mental health, or your like if you really value your family, don't sacrifice your family for that. Like just make a list of what's really important to you. Like if you're really career driven and your family comes second, that's totally fine. It's totally fine. Just be realistic with yourself about it though, and just go, okay, is what it is. And you just make those decisions moving forward. So yeah, hopefully that helps. Yeah, I'm a bit of a workaholic as well. So, but yeah, it's really important just to make sure that you're maintaining your, like, be a workaholic. Sure, it's ideally like it doesn't last forever. Make hay while the sun shines, and if you love your job, amazing. But yeah, look after yourself. So, to find you work extra hours, you don't charge. Well, I used to do it all the time. I don't anymore. So I just charge. I think that just comes with experience and not being taken for granted. I don't buckle at those difficult conversations anymore. I used to really find it difficult asking for money. You pay me my retainer upfront, otherwise you will never see a thing from me. And if the hours are going to go over, like my retainer is the set amount of hours. So usually I'll be like, okay, 6 hours minimum. You pay me for that 6 hours. And if I'm getting up to that 6 hours, and it's looking like it's going longer, I will give them a call, and I let the client know this in the client service agreement, and say, look, I think I could keep going. I feel like there's still stuff here. This is the next step. And then they pay me again for the next set amount of hours. I don't sit around waiting for people to pay me, because that taxes my mental health. I ruminate on it. So yeah, if you don't pay me, I don't do the job. So I do not think about those investigator. Open source intelligence investigator. Well, it's open source intelligence investigations. I just throw open source intelligence investigator on the end. It's essentially skip tracing. So open source intelligence investigator is just, it's fairly new in regards to vernacular, just because of the digital nature of it. And yeah, so I just chuck investigator on the end. It's definitely something that's from America, that's been my guard dog. Yeah, so it's desktop investigations, skip tracing, they are more common uses, like descriptors in Australia. Good to know. I prefer to keep working when on a roll. Yeah, I do too. When you get in the zone, when you're looking for information, like it's so great. Like there's no better feeling. Completely agree, and I understand. Yeah, so it's good that you have that balance, work hard and relax hard. Open source intelligence. Yes. I've been a task for weeks. I've burnt myself out previously, especially with mental health. Yeah, because mental health claims, I find them really taxing. Especially when you get this massive caseload with just one after the other, and there's a lot of reading involved. And yeah, some people have been through some really terrible stuff. So I take those less now than I did before. I mainly stick to the private sector now, so I mainly take on private clients as opposed to taking overflows from the agencies that have this kind of work, or I don't work for the agencies that have this type of work much anymore, because yeah, you'll learn these things about yourself. Like I can't do anything in regards to children. Like it's too taxing on my mental health. It kills me. I can't do dark web hunting, pedophiles or anything like that anymore. I just can't do it. I don't have that fortitude. So, and you'll learn things, like just notice yourself when you're going through these things. So yeah, thank you for raising that, Andrew. Get a twitchy eye. I do too. Yeah, keeping a diary, exercise, candles, classical music, and gardening. I go to the local gym and have a spa and watch the show while I'm relaxing on a Friday. Beautiful. Love all of that. And I do the same. My eye starts to really twitch. And when that happens, I'm like, oh, yeah, something's going to have to give here. So yeah. I understand that, Andrew. I find the mental health claims exhausting. I'm trying to phase them out of my workload. Yeah. Yeah, it is incredible. Sometimes you just want to scream at insurance agencies, like, how can this person go through this? And you just need to give them their money. But obviously you can't do that. And yeah, I've seen a lot of the mental health is just so tricky. So tricky, and it's been something that the investigation industry has been navigating for a number of years now. And we're still all struggling with it. We still don't quite understand what constitutes mental health, because people can have good days and bad days. And people who put in mental health claims that say, oh, I can't go out, or I can't be in a room with more than 5 people because I get too anxious, or loud noises make me anxious. But then you've got them out, like you've got pictures on Facebook of them at like the Gold Coast 500 or something, because they've been tagged by a spouse or a child. And you don't know if it's good days or bad days, but it's something that we have to remember. It's our job. We need to dig as deep as we can with these cases, because we need to find all the intelligence possible. Because just because you find one picture of them at an event that they said that they couldn't go to, that's not the whole picture. So they could have been having a good day, or maybe they're on new antidepressants or something like that, and they're working really well. And these are things that's why it's so important for us to paint this really whole picture, to dig as deep as we can, to provide as much information as we can, to give these people a fair chance when it comes to investigations and having their cases looked at. So, and I'm a former, yeah, that is, I forgot about that. It's been a long time ago now. I'm long in the tooth. I'm too long in the tooth to do the work that makes me miss. Absolutely. I agree. I have spoken to claims managers, and they have noted that mental health claims are taking their toll on investigators. Great. I'm sure we will have our time where we get more support, because we get burnt out just like police. We get burnt out just like mental health care workers. We're reading some really horrible stuff and looking through terrible things that have happened, reading psychological evaluations and reading descriptions that are just terrible. And like, I know when I first burnt out, I thought I was handling it really, really well. But I wasn't. And that comes with maturity and just learning how to pay attention to yourself, learning how to pay attention to your emotions, learning to take cues from your body, like the twitchy eye, and just, deciding what cases you can and can't take on. So I'm sure we will eventually get more psychological help. Like, there has to be some kind of well-being put into our industry. I know that, so last week I was at a conference in regards to new regulations around what we should be teaching, and wellbeing is a massive one that's coming up, which is really good. So we will be writing information on wellbeing to put into our course, because it's now mandated, which is great. And I had to be honest, I'd never really thought about it before. Like, I just was part of the industry. Like, we plug on and we do what we can. But yeah, more and more of us are getting burnt out because there's just so much work, and it's can be exhausting. So, and especially when you're new and you're just taking every job that you can possibly get, and you're not being paid properly, or you've got people that you've done the work for and they're not paying you. It's just all of that kind of. And so here, like at the Australian Security Academy, we are trying our best to educate our investigators so you can learn from our mistakes, and putting the well-being part in there. I'm really looking forward to that, so we can talk about things like noticing how you're feeling, paying attention to your body if you do get that twitchy eye. Some people get restless legs, all those different things. If you're having nightmares, which people do, which investigators do as well. It's perfectly normal stress responses, and it's not weak at all. It just means that you need support and you need to reassess what you're doing. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to moving that into the course as well. So it's definitely one of the most difficult things to determine. I know that when I was trapped at home, it took me hours to psych myself up to leave the house. Yeah. Mental health is tricky, and we're just only now talking about it as human beings. We've been around for thousands of years, and we're just now talking about how mental health is important. Before, it mattered that you just had all four limbs, and then if you had your legs and you had your arms, like, you have to go out and work as hard as you can, and then that's the end of the story. We don't want to hear you complaining, that's it. But thank goodness it's not like that anymore. And yeah, mental health is incredibly important. So I can do 2 physical files to a mental health claim without the dramas. That's great. It's so good. Thank you for saying that, Andrew. See, like, as you go through your investigations career, just take notice of what you can handle and what you can't handle. And there's no shame in it. You need to advocate for yourself, because when you're an individual operator, no one else is going to do it. You need to. So that's awesome. That's a really, really good piece of information. Exactly. So that's also, again, I know that we're talking about re-traumatizing people when it comes to sexual assault and DV. It'll come. We've spoken about it a little bit. Whenever someone's been under investigation and they've committed suicide, that's hit the news a couple of times in the past couple of years. The industry touches on it then, about how being questioned and doubted affects people's mental health, but they've never actually done anything. But that'll come out. Our industry is really at this pivotal point where things are evolving, and things evolve slowly but surely, because doubling down, being questioned and doubted it's re-traumatizing people. So we have to look at how to not do that, because why would people put in a workers' compensation claim if they are going to be re-traumatized? Like, it's the same as like, why would I report my sexual assault if I'm going to be re-traumatized by the police or the legal system? It's just, yeah, these are things that we will definitely be looking at and discussing in the next few years for sure. It's interesting, Andrew. I feel like a lot of the claims I've dealt with are mostly people's small-time office traumas, which is the reason why I don't want to work in an office anymore. Oh, yeah, I can only imagine how tiring that can be. So office traumas is very real. And people are very different. And if you don't know how to interact with other people well, then you're going to have a lot of drama. And a lot of workplaces, that's why we have the label of a toxic workplace. Like, it's very real. So the problem with work cover is that 70% of the work is mental health claims. Yeah, exactly. And yeah, it's evolving. I don't want to do mental health anymore. It has affected who I am as a person, and it's not who I want to be. Fair enough. That's great. And just, yeah, as I said, it's just so important to notice these things about you. Some people can take these cases on, other people can't. And yeah, I'm with Andrew. Like, they can be really exhausting. So Maddie, hey Maddie, mental health for us surveillance operators is a big thing. Working alone for long hours, days, overthinking and loneliness. I can go days into weeks and don't converse with anyone. Thankfully, I have my dog Dougie, who always keeps me company when I need it. Yes, exactly. See, we do, as a whole, our industry, as individual operators, we do not have that backup. When it comes to mental health, we don't have a workplace that's going to say, hey, like, you seem a bit down, maybe you should go and see the psychologist or the counselor that works for us. Like, it's just, we are left to learn a lot. Yeah, I'm glad you have your dog. You have to take measures to negate these things, because like Andrew said, that it's affected his mental health and affected who he is as a person. We don't want that. This is not what your job should be about. And this is why we need to have these conversations. This is so fantastic. Like, I just feel like we've been blessed with this little opening of time muck-ups to be able to have this conversation, because mental health is really important to all of us. I know Mike was running the competition where he sent in like a video of what you did on the weekend, or like a hobby or something like that, just to have something light, because our industry is so heavy. And Mike's always been such a massive advocate for keeping things light, especially on Spy Curious, because we do work on really sad things, on really tough things, and we do it day in and day out. So, but yeah, making sure you advocate for yourself, making sure that you learn about what you can and cannot handle. Like I said, absolutely no shame if you, like, I cannot do anything children. You ask me to do anything children, it's a flat out no. Cannot do it. Can't handle it. Will have nightmares. I know that about myself. So, and you will take on different cases, and you just need to notice. So yeah, learn about that. I find that in government departments I've worked in, HR doesn't protect people from workplace bullying, policy or politics. They side with politics. Yes, that often happens because we live in a society where we have the kind of everything's political, and we have the kind of mob rule type thing. It's like they protect image often before individuals. which is really sad, which is, again, it's something that people need to advocate for themselves and really find how to understand themselves and protect themselves outside of HR. Because, yeah, everything's political these days. Everything. It's been times by 1,000 since COVID. Everything's political. Healthcare is political. What people do with their bodies is political. Everything is politicized. We have that 24-hour news cycle. It's just constantly going. And we have politicians that are politicizing everything to try and win our favor, but kind of degrading a lot of important things, such as keeping politics out of the lot. And this is coming from someone that's really politically active. I love politics, but yeah, there are a lot of things that shouldn't be political. People's mental health, it's not a political issue. It's something that just people need to be helped. And that's the end of the story. It's not a left or right issue. So yeah, it's hard. We live in tough times, and as long as we have these conversations, and the more we talk about it, the more that we can put words to things, describe things, I hate the word categorize, but categorize things in a way that we can understand them better. And once we understand something better, and when we put words to things like coercive control, it's like my favorite label, because coercive control, we've always known what it was, but we never really had a name for it. We didn't understand how to communicate about it, and now we have that. So the more open we have, like the more open conversations we have around these topics, yeah, the better, and the easier it gets. And trying to again, advocate for yourself and advocate for things not being politicized. So I was literally just terminated from the NDI due to it's really tough out there, and not being able to leave the house. Yeah, it's brutal. I'm sorry to hear that, Bea. The karma bus comes along eventually. The more people trained in investigations, the better. Exactly. And like, that's what makes me super, super excited about our industry, is that we have people like us who are willing to have these conversations. Investigators are smarter, better educated, and more professional than ever before. Like, we're not the Hollywood weirdos hiding behind trees with butcher's hats and like magnifying glasses. We are an incredible, incredible industry. I love our industry and I love what we do. And even though there are definitely flaws, but there's flaws in any industry, but having conversations around the things that are difficult, the things that affect us, it'll definitely help us. So yeah, it makes me really, really excited. The industry needs to do a lot more to take care of the health and well-being of the investigator. Absolutely. And that's part of this will be education, which falls on us. And it's something that, yeah, we'll be adding into our course, and we will definitely have to look. It's a really good idea to do an Investigations Uni around this, because it is an important topic. And as you can see today, like, we've burst open this whole bubble of being able to discuss it. So yeah, it's really good. This has given me a lot to think about as well. There's plenty of work out there. You'll find a better place with better people. Oh, that's really nice. Thank you, Amanda. I'm sure Bea appreciates that. Sharon, thank you for allowing space to normalize mental health concerns within the industry. It's very important. You're welcome, Sharon, and I thoroughly, thoroughly agree. And like, feel free, anyone, to email me with any stories or any ideas, because we will be developing the course material around the mental health pieces that we're going to be putting in. And part of I know I keep saying at the Australian Security Academy, I feel like I'm trying to sell it, but this is our program. At the Australian Security Academy, we really heavily rely on our network of students, ex-students, people who have been in the game a long time, people that can help us, because we don't know what we don't know. We all work in the industry, but our industry is so diverse and everybody's experience is so diverse, so diverse. I spoke to someone the other day that they left the industry and they hate it. They absolutely hate the industry. They do not see what I see in the industry, and that's totally fine. They have a bunch of experiences that led them down a completely different road to what I did, to what I do. And that's totally fine. That's with any industry though. And so if you send me an email and say, hey, Casey, how about this for mental health? Or this is a story that happened to me, like, inform me. Industry consultation is really, really important to us because we want our course to produce the best investigators. And we want to give students that come through the Australian Security Academy and our alumni the best chance of having a really, really rewarding career. Because Mike's been in this industry forever. Like, I don't even know how long. He's old as the hills now. I can say that because he's not here. And let's not talk about workplace bullying. Yeah, so it's just because he loves it and he loves the industry. I love the industry. All of our teachers, like Pat Flynn, loves the industry. We're massive advocates for the industry. So you used to get 5 specific allocations. Now you get 40 from a worker who has been in the workplace less than 12 months. It's exhausting. Yeah. It's definitely advocate for yourself. And we have, don't forget that we have the Association of Investigation Risk and Loss Adjusting Professionals. So if there is, which you are all part of, if you are an Australian Security Academy student or alumni, you are automatically part of our association if you want to be. And part of what associations do is advocate for people. So if you have these issues, please send them to us, because if we get enough, let's say, okay, we've got 20 people here, 20 individuals that have sent us these emails about this issue, we can take them to whoever's sending you this, or like let workplaces know that this is too much and our investigators deserve better and we're going to be advocating for more. So, and change, like, we did do something last year where we got an automatic change. That's very, very rare. But again, we're here to advocate for you as well. This is such a great session. It's like low-key therapy. Oh, too funny. I'm sure you read my mind. As Ken said last week, investigation is about doing something bigger than yourself. There are a lot of rewards. Absolutely. We get to have such a fun job. It's no 2 days are the same. But learning about yourself, learning about your body cues, learning about what you can't handle, learning about the caseload that you can handle, learning about what life work balance, whatever that looks like, works for you. And again, as well as advocating within the industry to make sure that we have these conversations. So who knew that we needed this conversation? Like, I'm not sharing my recent stuff. That can wait until next week now. This is brilliant. I would always find that I was awake at 2 a.m. or 3 a.m. when I should be sleeping, worrying about MH claims. Now I sleep much better since giving MH claims away, but for one company who looks after me. Awesome. You shouldn't be staying awake at nighttime. You need to, put provisions around yourself. It's just so important. Well done, Andrew. That's great. Meta, I'm grateful that it's what motivated me to undertake the government investigations course and now brought me here. Oh, that's great. See? Brilliant. It's a silver lining. That's really good. Finding silver linings is important to your mental health as well. Yes, absolutely. She sounds like she's better off without them. But welcome to the investigation industry. Weirdos Andrews, yeah. Awesome. I thought that this was going to be 20 minutes of me gapping on about not much. And here we are. This is excellent. Okay. Well, that's perfect. I've gotten through all the comments. I have absolutely loved this. This has gone for a solid hour of really great feedback and chatting. It's a little awkward that I'm the only voice, but thank you for putting in your comments and essentially speaking to me. I'm so grateful. This has been so wonderful. Teamwork, it is, and that's what I love about Spy Curious. Mike has done a fantastic job of creating this community for our students and alumni, because like as Maddie said, that you can get really lonely as an individual operator. The loneliness is real when you're working from home or you're in surveillance, and it can be quite isolating. Never underestimate how incredible that the water cooler talk is. Like just being able to say to someone, oh, how was your weekend? That connection that we get when we're in an actual workplace really helps alleviate a lot of the mental health strain when it comes to isolation and loneliness. So joining your networking groups and doing things to network within the industry, watching this, coming along to Investigations Uni, like chatting to each other in the chat, that's awesome. So like they're just small things, but never underestimate the power of it. So there isn't, but we are looking at doing a more networking type of association get together, but like a digital one, and we're just trying to figure out how that would work, because networking as an investigator is really important, because you can make really great connections and you can meet other people in the industry who have skills that you don't, and vice versa. So you can pass work off to each other. You could also have a really tough time, just say, hey, like, this has happened. How would you handle this? Do you mind me asking for some support or some advice here? So because we have such a fantastic community, so we are definitely looking into that. It's just how to do it digitally. As we are getting more active with flying around the country again and having live events, but yeah, we'll also assess what to do there if we can have any networking events, which would be really cool because I'd love to meet you all in person. But yeah, so I will leave it there. I won't take up any more of your time. I'm incredibly grateful for everybody's contribution today. Thank you so much. It means the world to me, and it means the world to the industry and your mental health as a professional investigator. So next week, I will talk about algorithms and things like that in regards to OSINT. But yeah, it was awesome. I will catch you guys next week. Have a fantastic weekend. And don't forget, email me. If you don't have my email, it's Casey at Australian Security. It's a tongue tie. Australian Security Academy.edu.au. Or just email Mike if you've got his email, and he can pass it on to me if you want it to come to me. So thank you so much for watching. Have a fantastic weekend. And thank you again, everybody, for such an enriching Spy Curious on this beautiful Friday. See you next time.